So what you can do as it stands, you know, I like giving you guys, especially for BTC, because it's been traded during the week. Okay, I like giving you guys a heads up. Okay, so you can just take your buys right about here. Okay, and if your stops can go all the way down here, okay, and you target your 1:2, 1:3 thereabouts, or you target the next zone of BTC, which is the 111, okay, which is 111,000.
Hey peeps, AdmireFX right here, the prophetic analyst. Welcome back to my channel. So this is our usual weekly market forecast for the 14th to the 18th of July, being the third week of the month of July. So without further ado, let's dive into the business of the day. You know, we come here every week and out to predict 530,000 pips into the future. So we are starting up with BTC. For last week, you guys saw us predict BTC into precision, which we did not just predict, but we also took the trades too. Signals were also being sent on the community. So that's why I always say, if you're not on a free Telegram community, click on the link on the description below to join our free Telegram community. Okay, so we started up with BTC. So for last week, we had BTCs being so bullish to the extent that we have BTC going all the way to 18k, okay, 118k right now. Okay, so price has been super bullish. Just like I said, last week was a very great week for us, and which I'm still swinging 10% on BTC till date, because we are still having bullishness and more continuations of BTC. And if you guys may remember, for like since the 13th of May and June thereabouts, also, if you guys remember, those on the free Telegram community will understand that I've been sending more of bullish trade continuations for us since when price was somewhere around here on June, and even when price was here. And if you're also my mentee, you understand what we mean by trading off our areas of interest, our daily AOIs. We can also see how price is also reacting off here of our daily AOI, which was also part of why we're able to take this trade call from that area, and price has been bullish since then. That's actually the power of trading off zones, okay, and also trading off higher time frame zones. Okay, so you don't just trade anyway. That's why we say we trade off zones, okay, and we also have our zones in which we trade off. We mark out the zones, and these zones, if price start moving from these zones, they'll be most likely price won't come back to those areas. You can see since when price left this area, and price has been bullish since then. As far as we are right with the direction, every other thing will fall in line. So we have seen price breaking through our first TP of 11k, which we made mention last week, and also overall 15k. And as you can see, weeks back, I also marked out the zones of 20k. okay, so you can see prices headed to 20k, but before we could get to 20k, we most likely have price give us a meantime pullback to either the 14k for bullish continuations, or we could have price giving us a more deeper pullbacks. Okay, the more deeper pullbacks would make sense. Okay, so that's the next zones, which is the 11k zones. Okay, is the next base zones for you to be taking your BTC bullish continuation trades from. Okay, so you shouldn't be missing out. And that zones also, like I always say, using our trend lines matches with our current trend line. Okay, so you see, looking left, this is an area of interest, our daily area of interest, also matching with the trend line. You guys know how strong my trend lines are. I've also decided over the years now to be including the trend lines. Okay, but most likely this works with the areas of interest. Okay, so we'll be looking forward for price to pull back to the 11k zones and price continuations back to the 100% retracement level, which is the 118, and overall we are targeting 120k. Like I always say, I've been the one to be analyzing this and predicting price projections for the longest of time, since May, since April, all the way price headed to 20k. If you have not watched our videos, you can go back to our previous videos to see when I made these predictions, and we have also been able to trail in price and taking quality signals from these areas. Okay, so that will be it for BTC. Up next is gold.
Right, from next week, or we could have price give us a slight deeper retracement. Okay, I would love to see that slight deeper retracement. Maybe price opens with a gap to the downsides with that slight deeper retracement, then we have that price continuations to the upsides. Just like I said, because of the trend lines and my areas of interest, my daily areas of interest in which price started buying bullish from here, I would still remain bullish. I would only look for the bearish sides. Just like I said last week, it has to go below this trend line. So as far as price is still above this trend line, we are still very much bullish. So if price gives us a second deeper retracement to these zones of the 3,000 and 3291 ounce, then we could take our bullishness to our phase zone. Okay,
yeah, welcome back. So for gold, for last week, we made mention of gold. We had two zones, which were our phase zone of the 33,000 ounce and the second zone of a 32,000 ounce, which we were looking forward for price to give us bullish continuations on this zone. So price phase zone actually failed. We took an L there, and we thereafter went to the second zone. So guys, you can also see why I've been preaching so much about my areas of interest. Looking left, you can see that area in which price is bouncing off, and not just that, that also works with our trend lines too. Okay, so let's go to the daily time frame, guys, for you guys to see how this was being predicted into precision. And it was not just predicted into precision, signals were also being sent on the community, which I'm going to add it somewhere around in this video. Okay, so you can see that zones there, the trend line I'm speaking about, that we took all the way from the 10th of March down here, and linking with that of the 7th of April. So since then, we have been having massive bullishness to the upside. So I vividly mentioned that since price had bounced here, so we're most likely having a second bounce on gold. And if you doubt me or you think we are capping, here is the video.
With the help of our areas of interest. And also, if you guys can remember, just like on the video, I made mention of this daily time frame trend line. Okay, but I say I don't really like using trend lines, okay, because my trend lines always matches with areas of interest. So looking at gold, okay, so you can see gold, that phase bounce, that third bounce, and we are most likely having a fourth bounce. And as we know, gold has been super bullish since the beginning of this
okay
year.
Welcome back. So you can see that trend line bounce off in which I spoke about, and I said as far as we are still above this trend line, guys, as far as we are still above this trend line, we are still very much bullish. Okay, I said I'm going to make a dedicated video for you guys on how to use trend lines to take your trades, but I haven't had that time to do that real good because I'm currently handling our July batch of mentorship, in which we are almost done. I think we'll be done in a week or two. Okay, so I'm currently handling our July batch of mentorship, so that has been taking a lot of my time. So also, if you are interested to be able to predicting 500 to 1,000 pips into the future, and also analyzing and deciphering the trades just like I do into precision, you can click on the link on the description below to join our free Telegram community. And also, if you want to trade like I do, you can also get our mentorship for the next batch. Okay, so moving forward for gold, you can see we had that trade which we took, and we have, I think we had a nice 1:2 thereabouts, and price has been very much bullish since then. Okay, so you can see clearly how our trend lines and our areas of interest being matched together works. Okay, this is all like, it's not the kind of trend lines that you guys mark, okay, or the kind of areas of interest. Okay, these are the things that we speak in depth about on our mentorship. So that's why I said you can do yourself the favor to join in our mentorship if you can afford it. It's quite affordable. Okay, so for the coming weeks, and what we are going to do, I'm going to go back to my daily time frame, okay, and mark out new zones for you guys. Okay, our next areas of interest, which will be somewhere around these zones like so. All right, so what we would be looking for is price to break, create a new higher than these previous highs, and a retest and a continuation. So mind you, I'm still swinging this, I'm still swinging 80%. okay, sorry, I'm still swinging 20%. I've closed to 80%. I'm still swinging 20% of this trade call to the upside. So we are still clearly very much bullish on gold, okay, until price shows us otherwise. In this case is if price clears these trend lines all the way to the downside. So that's will more likely take time. Okay, so that's why we are still going for the bullish area. So we are targeting price to go into 34,000 ounce, which is our next level target, and we could see price go as deep as our 34,904 ounce thereabout. Okay, so that's it for gold. Up next is US oil,
which I'm holding through the weekend. Okay, hopefully that goes well, which I'm holding through the weekend to the upside. So I have my stops down below these weeks, and we are targeting our first level TPs like 1:4, 1:3, thereabouts around our zones. Then we are going all the way to 100% retracement level.
Okay, so welcome back. So you can see US oil price, and just like I told you guys, or you guys saw there, you guys can see how we predicted US oil once again into precision. We have been holding US oil as of last week. We held it for almost 2 weeks, which was like 10 days, and for so far price has been awesome. Price has still been very much bullish, just like we analyzed, predicted. Signals were also being sent on a free Telegram community. So if you're not on a free Telegram community, click on the link on the description below. I'm going to add it somewhere around in this video, the before and after, which you guys are currently seeing on US oil. So right now US oil is still very much bullish. US oil actually went as high as $69 per barrel, okay, almost to $69 per barrel, which is part of our target, and we are going all the way to $75 to $72 per barrel, all the way to the upside. So we'll still be seeing more bullishness on US oils in the coming weeks. So I'll still keep it as it is. And for those of you that were not able to enter from all the way down here, okay, we have been holding this for over 16 to 17 days right now. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do. We just wait for price to create a new high, break, retest, and push continuations to most likely, let's go for $73 per barrel, okay, which is right about these zones, right about that zone, $73 per barrel. Then we can go as high as $77 per barrel. Okay, you know, we trade from zones to zones, one zone after the other. So we are still very much bullish on US oil. Like I told you guys, this particular trade is a life-changing trade for you guys. Okay, I send the signals out, and a lot of you also were able to make this money, and you can also join or rejoin. For those of you that had already closed, okay, you can also rejoin if you have break retest. Just look for a retest on these zones. Look for your whatever kind of strategy that you normally use to take in your trades. Look for that to occurring on this zone, and you can take your trades. Okay, but for my mentees, they know the trading strategy in which we look for when price comes back to our zones. Okay, so that's it for US oil. Still very much bullish. Up next is the DXY.
Okay. You know that price moves in form of a wave, like I always tell you guys. Okay, so you see price creating series of highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So we most likely would have a higher time frame, lower high. Okay, price going back to either these zones or retracing back to these trend lines. Then we could have proper bearish continuations to the downside.
Welcome back. So for the DXY, easy busy, just like we predicted last week. Clearly, so like I said, last week was awesome for us. DXY was super bullish all the way to the upside. You can see that bullishness since Monday all the way till Friday. Price has been creating series of highs. I'm doing this from the daily time frame. I don't want to take you guys much of your time to be going to the hourly time frame. Okay, so this was the first. We were looking for a buy to sell scenarios. So clearly the buys are still happening currently, because we had two zones in which we're looking for price drop, okay, which was this first zone and this second zone. Okay, so most likely we were not even interested on whatever price was happening here. So price is currently headed back to this trend line. Okay, so as we stand, we are still targeting this trend line and also this area of interest, which you guys can see. But I'm also seeing something else that we could have price. I think this also looks more like an order block for you guys that do whatever strategy that score. All right, so most likely we'll see price go back to this area. Why am I saying so? It's not just because of that order block, but my actual targets are this moving average. Okay, this is a 50 EMA. Okay, is a default 50 EMA. So most likely the 50 EMA would be somewhere around here, would come somewhere around here. So we'll be maybe having, all right, let's go back. We may be having a week into that EMA, then price drops. So we still remain very much bullish on our buy to sell scenarios. So our first levels that you have to mark out is the $97, okay, the $97 zones, which is these first zones. And if price still continues bullish, we should be looking at the $98 zone, somewhere around these areas, which matches with that moving average and these other blocks for you guys that do whatever strategy that you are using. That's why I said it's not really about, it's not about just whatever strategy that you're using. You have to trade off zones. Okay, if you're actually trading off zones, no matter the kind of strategy you are using, you are most likely going to be right and you're most likely going to make money for yourself. Okay, so that's why I tell you guys, you can use your own personal strategy and take these trade calls from either of these zones being marked out. Okay, so that's it for the DXY. Up next is EURUSD. So for EURUSD, we were looking for a buy to sell scenarios for last week, and most likely we were still having so much sales, more like a choppy market to the downsides, but it was bearish. Let's see how last week actually closed. Okay, so we can see how last week closed here on the weekly time frame. Last week closed with this bearish engulfing candle, so there are more possibilities that we could have some few bearish days back to these zones of a 1.15706 to the downside before we could have those bullish continuations, because we are still very much bullish on EURUSD. So we have this bearish engulfing candle close to the downside. So we go to the daily time frames to see what we can do with this information. So looking at our zones and the trend lines in which we have here, price is currently seated at that trend line, but I'm not really comfortable on how price closed today. I would only be interested of price reacting off these areas, because it's not actually on my zones. Okay, this is the zones I'm targeting. Okay, this is the zones I'm looking for, which is the 1.1630. okay, so price could have this deeper retracement to that zones before a continuation. As far as price is between the 1.163 and the 1.157, okay, we are still very much bullish. So what does this mean? We should be seeing price giving us is a more bearishness, a sell to buy scenarios to these phase zones and continuations to the upside, or we could see price go deeper around these zones. Okay, so you can around the zones, which is still the 1.15657, so you can box it up if you like. Okay, so you can rather use a box. Why is this so? Looking left, you can see this is an area of interest. Okay, we have one here, we have two here, so that's why we will most likely have price alter this trend line, come here and still continue. Okay, it's not every time that price would actually react specifically on the trend line itself. But if it does react on this trend line itself, I have to wait for a full daily candle close. Very important. Okay, this is a pro information I'm giving you guys. Daily candle close are very important to knowing directional bias of trade calls. Okay, so I have to wait for a full green daily engulfing candle close to the upsides like so from these zones before I could think of taking bullish continuations on Euro USD from these zones. But anything that happens apart from that, I should be looking for a deeper retracement. So what do you have to do? Mark out these zones on your phone, your PC, or your trading device. Okay, so that's it for Euro USD. Last but not the least, GBP USD. So on GBP USD, so for GBP USD, like I said, last week we had more bearishness. For most of you, I'm very big about correlation, price correlations on this trading stuff. Okay, because if, like I said, we would be having a buy to sell on the DXY. Okay, so if DXY, if DXY is equals to bullish, okay, we most likely will be having an inverse of that to happen on GBP USD. Okay, it's no soothsayer, it's no gimmicks, it's no magic. Okay, so if we have a bullish trend on the DXY, we should be having a bearish trend on GBP USD. Okay, so that's the information in which I use to counter trading go to. Okay, not just the trend lines. Like I said, these things are premium information, or stuff that you have to learn through our mentorship, so you could take these things serious and understand them better. Okay, so these are the upper hands our mentees get from learning from us. Okay, because using this information, understanding correlations, okay, not just knowing that price should bounce off that trend line we spoke about on gold, but also knowing that gold and the DXY are inversely correlated. So these are the kind of premium information you also get. So moving forward for GBP USD for last week was super bearish, clearly bearish. Okay, for last 2 weeks actually, because this was last week, these few candles were last week, and this was last 2 weeks. So GBP USD has been super bearish. Just like we can see, GBP USD is actually targeting these zones and also these bullish trend lines. Okay, so we have something like another block or whatever it is on these zones, and this also matches with our daily area of interest. You can see me write it clearly there. Okay, that matches with our daily higher time frame area of interest. So what do we do in this case? We will be looking for price to come into these zones. Okay, price to come into these zones, come to this trend line most likely, and we look for a bullish continuations to the upsides back to our 100% retracement level. Okay, which is our, let me put a line there. All right, let me put a line on the body, which is our 1.372 areas. Okay, so that's actually going to be our target for USD, for GBP USD. And that's going to be all for this week, guys. If you watch this video to this very moment, please do want to smash that subscribe button, like, share, and drop a comment on the comment section. Let's know how well our trading analysis, weekly trading analysis, has been helping you to make money and making decisive decisions on your trading so far. And also let us know what kind of content you love us to drop it there on the comment section. And also, if you're not on a free Telegram community, click on the link on the description below and join. And our next batch mentorship is going to commence registration soon, so if you're interested to be able to decipher the market like the prophetic analyst myself, you can also make yourself available for the next batch mentorship. So that will be it for this week, guys. See you guys on the inner circles, and always remember to plan your trades and trade your plan. Cheers.